You gonna pick up your cans? Yeah. What's the baby? That is baby. That is baby. Hi, honey. What's the baby? Daddy's gonna take you in the pool. You want a little Canis lupus? You can jump in the pool with Daddy? Ooh, good boy. If Salem was an amplifier, he'd be, shit. He'd be a 1979 PV Deuce combo, a 2x12 with Black Widow speakers, parametric EQ, spring reverb, foot switch, and phaser. Isn't that weird? Thing weighs about 600 pounds. Yup. I think that one was tubes too. That's back when PV was really. Or he would be a 1998 PV transistor tube amp. Yep. One of the greatest inventions that ever came out. Just a solid state amp that sounds like it has tubes, and it did. It sounded. Oh no. Salem would be a 1983 Soldano 100-watt head. That's what he would be. He'd be a Soldano. What else would he be? If he was a bass cabinet, he'd be a 1968 Custom with a K, K-U-S-T-O-M, with the big plastic pleather sides and a big purple jewel light when you crack it on. Oh God, that's what he'd be. He'd be an 83 JCM 800 Marshall. Yeah, he would. No, he would be a. Oh wow, he would be a MOSFET switching power amp with an ADA MP1 preamp, a power plant, an ART power plant, rack space. Yeah, he'd be with an ART Mach 2 digital DSP rack with sampling, and a Lexicon digital reverb with Eventide harmonizer, 1983 type. Right, Salem? Hell yeah. ADA MP1 cat. That's what he'd be. Or he might be a these are the amps I used for recording, a couple of them. He would be a 5150, the first one. Wow. EVH, Eddie Van Halen, 5150 amp. Remember that thing? I used that on my first record. That thing sounds fucking good. And for the solo, I used a a Jim Marshall Plexi 45 for the solo. But he wouldn't be that. That's what he'd be. He'd also be a MHTMF or a DTMF fucking gonculator He'd be, if he was a guitar pickup, he'd be a MIDI switching. He'd be a pickup that had little microphones in each string and sent to a MIDI unit. 1980s style. That's what he'd be. Hell yeah. He'd be a Floyd Rose Type 3 tremolo system. Right, Daniel? And if he was a semi-acoustic guitar, hi baby, he'd be a British 12-string Rickenbacker Jet Glow Black. Huh? If he was a cheap guitar pedal, he would be a psychoacoustic processor or a Aphex Oral Exciter rack space. Hell yeah. Those things really worked. There's no really need for them anymore, but those things really worked. If you've had yourself a Digitech psychoacoustic processor, you'd be like, wow. If he was a pickup, again, he'd be a Sustainiac. He'd be a 1993 green humbucking Sustainiac with 9-volt battery and 8-pin dip switch. He'd be a silver-faced Fender 1968 Fender Twin Reverb. Yeah, he would. And Cali would be an orange amp. Yeah. She got that Euro sound.